everyone, welcome back to Crime and Wine. Today we are covering a very big case that has captured tons of media attention and is a current ongoing case. With that being said, today we will be discussing the facts that we know of so far. Chad Doerman executed 3 of his 4 children at their home, in which he is currently being indicted with 21 counts. On June 15, 2023, Claremont County police officers arrived in the 1900 block of Laurel-Lendell Road around 4 p.m. when they received multiple reports of a shooting. The first call came in by a woman who had said, quote, "My babies had been shot." Soon following that phone call, a second call came from a witness after seeing a young girl who was later identified as Chad Doerman's stepdaughter. She was running through the streets yelling that her father was, quote, "killing everyone." When the deputies arrived at the home in Monroe Township, they found 3 young boys' bodies scattered in the front yard, and they found Chad Doerman sitting on a step just outside of his house with the rifle on the ground next to him. Chad was in a very calm manner while a deputy pulled him down to his stomach to handcuff him, as Chad says, "I ain't gonna hurt anybody," as well as explaining how his dogs wouldn't bite them. I guess that's somewhat interesting of a statement for him to make after killing his children, because in a way that makes me think that he may have been worried at the possibility that maybe the officers would hurt his dog. I don't know though. Even in the police body cam footage, you can clearly see that he has blood on his clothes and body, which is just so disturbing in itself. Also, in the body cam footage, you can hear a woman in the background, who we can assume as the mother's children, wailing, saying he shot them all. And I think that's just so heartbreaking. He was then arrested and placed in the back of a cop car and taken down to the police station. Neighbors in Monroe Township, which is about 75 miles west of Columbus, reported hearing several shots fired in what they said is usually a quiet, calm neighborhood. Quote, "I was sitting in the garage and all of a sudden I hear boom, boom, and like 5 more, and I was like, that's 7 shots. She goes on to say, "I'm shaking. It was a lot. It was bad." Responding deputies immediately began life-saving measures on the boys who were pronounced dead at the scene. Emergency personnel took the mother to a hospital for treatment to her hand. So, what exactly are the details that occurred on this very tragic day? Claremont County Prosecutor Mark Tacove and Chief Prosecutor David Gass said that Chad Doerman's massacre actually started inside the home where he shot his 4-year-old son Hunter in the head twice. He then walked outside and shot his 7-year-old son Clayton as he tried to run away, which injured him after being shot from behind. Chief Prosecutor David Gass said that after Clayton tried to flee into a nearby field running approximately 300 feet, Chad Doerman, quote, "hunted his son down, brought him back to their home, and then killed him by shooting him twice in the head from a short distance." Doerman then ripped the 3-year-old from his mother's arms and shot him in the head. It's said that a 34-year-old woman, the boy's mother, was shot in the hand trying to shield her sons from any harm. Guys, this is really just an unimaginable, horrific thing that this poor mother had to witness, and for a mother to witness each of her children being gunned down and executed is just unfathomable. Prosecutor Tacove said, quote, "I can only imagine the terror these little boys felt and experienced as their father, their protector, was murdering them." Tacove says, "Unfortunately, their mother saw this, and you can imagine the immense trauma and terror that she experienced, and we will do the utmost in my office to see this defender never see the light of day again." While we don't have the complete details of the motive behind what he did, not that there's really anything that could possibly come close to explaining the why behind this horrific crime, but what we do know, which is so disturbing, is that Chad Doerman actually confessed to planning and carrying out the deaths of the victim for several months, as the court documents actually showed. To speak a bit into Chad Doerman's character and history, there was a neighbor named Richard Kincannon that said Doerman was an angry man with a bad temper. He says, quote, "He was angry every day. There wasn't a day he didn't yell at his wife and kids out there." Chad's criminal records would also show that back in 2010, he was charged with domestic violence after choking his own father, but the case was dismissed when Chad's father, Keith Doerman, did not appear as a witness for the prosecution. And interestingly, Keith Doerman, Chad's father, would say that that wasn't true, and he would go on to claim that his son had no mental issues or history of violent behavior. And he also said that during a recent visit, everything seemed fine. He was a jokester and a fun-loving guy. His father also said that he doesn't know what led to the killings, but that his son must have snapped. That he said that there must have been something going on in his life that he just couldn't handle anymore. And he says, I can't talk to him, they aren't letting me to him, so I don't have any answers, but he probably did have a lot of stuff he was suffering from. The same night that the killings took place, Chad Doerman was charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder, all unclassified felonies. The first day of the court hearing, it said that Chad appeared emotional during the hearing and was dressed in a bulletproof vest. The defense asked for a $75,000 bond, saying Doerman was employed and has co-signers, but prosecutors asked for the highest bond that they've ever asked a judge to give, which was $20 million, and Judge J.C. Nagel granted it. While he was originally charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder, 7 days after the shooting, a Claremont County grand jury returned with a 21-count indictment against Doerman, including 9 counts of aggravated murder, 8 counts of kidnapping, and 4 counts of felonious assault. Many people were confused as to how so many charges were piled up for just 3 victims, specifically 9 murder charges against the same person. And defense attorney Clyde Bennett would say, legally speaking, a person can commit aggravated murder in multiple ways against the same victim, and each one is a different charge, potentially leading to a conviction. Quote, in the act of a kidnapping, a person, you killed someone, and then you kidnapped a person to kill them, and then that person is under 13. That's 3 ways you can get aggravated murder. He also said 3 different charges of aggravated murder for each of the 3 children added up to 9 charges. But he said that Doerman could only be sentenced for 1 per child. Chad Doerman pleaded not guilty on July 5th, 2023 to the 21 charges against him after confessing to executing his 3 boys, Clayton, Hunter, and Chase, with a rifle, and the judge ordered him to be held without bail while awaiting a pretrial hearing, which is scheduled for September 22nd at 11 a.m. Many people in the community want to see Chad Doerman served with the death penalty and executed, although the prosecutors do not think execution will take place, since the last person to be executed in Ohio was in 2018. They are confident, however, that he will remain on death row if sentenced. Clayton, Hunter, and Chase Doerman were beautiful young boys, and I wouldn't be able to speak more beautiful words to honor these 3 boys than what was written for their obituary, which I'll read for you guys. Clayton Doerman, 7 years old, Hunter Doerman, 4 years old, and Chase Doerman, 3 years old. 3 brothers bonded together in life and now for eternity, as God has reeled them into heaven for unending days of fishing, playing outside way past bedtime, laughing loudly, and nonstop giggling. They loved unconditionally, sharing their big hearts with anyone who they could make laugh and give them love. Clayton, fondly known as Clayton Man, loved making Lego creations, riding his go-kart, telling jokes, singing and laughing while loving his best dog pal, Gatlin. His love language was giving gifts, whether it be finding, creating, or sharing treasures. He loved his family and often looked out for his brothers. Hunter, fondly known as Hunter Dog, loved going to the creek and catching frogs, and his love of baseball extended beyond the ball field to his bed, an attachment like an extra arm to connect him to the ball and glove as he slept. He loved calling his mom and sister pretty girls and telling them he loved them every day. Chase, fondly known as Chasers, loved swinging on swings and couldn't wait to be a baseball player like his brothers. He loved playing with the dinos and pretending to be a superhero. He was the best cuddler, wanting his mama to stay close by to give her many hugs. He will forever be known as Mama's Boy. Guys, I know this is such a sad case to have heard about this father who's supposed to protect his sons and teach them and watch them grow up, but for their own father to be the one to take their lives, and in such a horrendous way. And I can't even begin to fathom or imagine how these 3 children were feeling at the time. I mean, especially the one that did get shot and almost escaped. It's just really unfortunate. And I mean, I'm glad to know that his stepdaughter, she was not harmed in any way. And it's really unfortunate that the boys' mother is going to have a lifelong battle of trauma to overcome, and just remember this day that will forever change her. But we pray that she does find peace, and that she learns to cope with this in life. But guys, this is an ongoing case, so while the trial, the next hearing is set for September, we'll see what comes from that, and I'll hopefully be sure to make another video to update you guys on that, so keep an eye out for that later on. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining me back here for another episode of Crime and Wine. I really appreciate all of you who watch my videos, and if you can, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this case, or what you think is going to come out of this case. And also leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I can't wait to see you guys back here for another episode of Crime and Wine next week.